Setting proper motivation with 3 points: refuge field, what to visualize and how to visualize, Buddha Shakyamuni, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and all the enlightened beings in front of you, and how to visualize them. Imagine they're like very affectionate parents, and you come home demoralized, and your parents are waiting there with full love, affection, attention, so forth. And visualize your two kind parents on the two sides, and all the family members around you, and all the essential beings around you. And here you're the mother, and all others are like your very affectionate children, and they come home demoralized, and you are there to give full love, affection, attention, so forth. And the purpose of this class is to identify the ultimate source of happiness that exists within each one of us. No matter what religion that you're following, no matter what ethnicity that you belong to, no matter what your education background, no matter how rich, poor you are, it doesn't matter. Everyone has this ultimate source of happiness within each one of us. That ultimate source, which is like a gold, when mixed with the soil, you will not see the gold. And in the eyes of ordinary people, this is just ordinary soil, and they think of dumping it. But in the eyes of the experts, it's not an ordinary soil. This is a soil containing gold in it. And how do we know that there's gold there? By resorting to ways and means to eliminate the soil slowly, and then as the soil is converted off slowly, we see that the gold inside starts to glow. So likewise, as the metal, the treasure within us, the treasure happiness within us, that is defiled by the metal stains. As we remove the metal stains by resorting to the respective remedies, then the gold-like the treasure happiness that exists within each one of us will start to glow. For that matter, we need to know what kind of remedies to apply to eradicate the mental defilements. And knowing that the mental defilements, somehow they are rooted to ignorance. It is only through introducing the light of the wisdom that this ignorance can be eliminated. And the question is, what is this light of the wisdom? The wisdom, by the very definition, is the discerning mind whose apprehension of the object tallies with the reality. The next question, what is the reality? Okay, so to discover the reality, this is not an easy task. To discover what the reality is, we need to go through the three processes: process of learning, process of reflection, and finally, whatever conviction that you've gained through reflection, then you subject this to constant habituation. And this is how our chronic illness of the metal stains can be gotten rid of. Chronic illness of the ignorance can be gotten rid of. So once that is gotten rid of, it is like severing the root of the poisonous tree. However, millions of poisonous leaves they may be growing in the trees, and by severing the root of the tree, however millions of the poisonous leaves they're growing, they will all dry automatically. Likewise, all the problems will come to an end automatically if we come to identify and sever the root of all the miseries, which is ignorance. Okay, with that in mind, let's turn to page 3 of the book, The Blaze of the Non-Dual Bodhicittas. Page 3 of the book. Enthused by great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. Enthused by great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. Enthused by great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. Independent origination, there is no ceasing, no rising, no annihilation, no permanence, no coming, no going, no separateness and no sameness. I prostrate to the consummate Buddha, the supreme among all teachers, the one who taught this peace, which is free of elaborations. I prostrate to the mothers of the hearers, the bodhisattvas and the Buddhas, who through the knowledge of all these hearers seeking pacification, complete peace, who through the knowledge of past causes was helping my greatest to achieve the aims of the world, and who through the possession of nations help subdue us expound a variety of teachings. the one who had transformed into the reliable guide, motivated by altruism to benefit sentient beings, the teacher, Sugata, and protector, to you of milk restoration. Eliminated the web of conceptualizations and is endowed with the divine bodies of the vast and the profound, who eternally shines forth the forever noble light rays, to you, the Buddha, I make prostrations. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha, by my accumulations to products of giving and so forth, benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and Sangha, by the accumulations of practice of giving and so forth. May I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, by my accumulations to practice of giving and so forth. May I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I chanted the mantra of full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. Om ye dharma hetu prabhava hetum tesham tathagato yavatat tesham chayo nirodha evam vati mahashramanaye swaha. Om ye dharma hetu prabhava hetum tesham tathagato yavatat tesham chayo nirodha evam vati mahashramanaye swaha. Om ye dharma hetu prabhava hetum tesham tathagato yavatat tesham chayo nirodha evam vati mahashramanaye swaha. All phenomena arise from causes. The causes are taught by the Tathagata, the cessational causes as well as taught by the great seer. Profound, peaceful, elaboration-free, clear light and non-composite. Such is the nectar of Dharma I have discovered. Finding no one to fathom this teaching, in silence I will retire into words. Beyond utterance, thought and expression is the perfection of wisdom, which is unborn, unseasoned, has the nature of space. It is the object of apprehension of self-realized wisdom. To you, the mother of the Buddhas, of the three times I bear obeisance. The Guru is the Buddha, the Guru is the Dharma, likewise the Guru is the Sangha. The Guru is the source of all. I go for refuge in the Guru. By the sound of the vibrant drum of Dharma, please liberate all beings of miseries. I beseech you to kindly remain and give teachings until the expanse of billions of aeons. The Buddha does not watch the negativities of beings, nor does he remove their miseries by his hands. His spiritual realizations are not transferred to them. It is by teaching the truth of suchness that beings are liberated. With folded hands I beseech the Buddhas. For all bewildered misery is gloom. If you are attached to this life, you are not a spiritual practitioner. If you are attached to samsara, you have no renunciation. If you are attached to your own self-interest, you have no bodhicitta. If there is grasping, you do not have the view. Okay. Let us turn to Heart Sutra mantra, page 31. Just the mantra, page 31. Page 31. Diyata Om Gati Gati Aragati Arasangati Bodhi Svahatyata Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasangati Bodhi Svahatyata Om Gati Gati Paragati
Gati Bodhi Swatyata Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasam Gati Bodhi Swatyata Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasam Gati Bodhi Swatyata Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasam Gati Bodhi Okay, page 32. It was mind training. Page 32. It was mind training. This is primarily for us to distinguish between the two things. One is the self-referential ego, and the other, the self-confidence, and see how to subdue the self-referential ego, because self-referential ego is the one which attracts all the miseries, all the satisfactions, miseries, and what we don't want is miseries. So therefore, if we don't want miseries, we need to cut the root of the miseries. The root of miseries is self-referential ego. And what we want is happiness, and happiness is all given rise to by the self-confidence. So while the first of all, we need to distinguish between two things: what is self-confidence, what is self-referential ego. We are not to equate the two things. Oftentimes, ordinary people, they equate the two things. When one tends to build the self-confidence, we also let grow the self-referential ego. And then, as we subdue the ego, our self-confidence also goes down. This is where we're going wrong. So we have to subdue the self-referential ego, and meanwhile, to boost the self-confidence. Because what we don't want is miseries. While we don't want miseries, we do want happiness. So if we want happiness, we need to have the self-confidence to build it, to create happiness. Okay, so this is verse mind training. This is primarily to subdue our self-referential ego. Never should we have the sense of self-hate. Self-hate is really destructive. Nobody can fail you. It is only our self-hate. Only you can fail yourself by cultivating a sense of self-hate. If you really want to hate someone, hate the self-referential ego, not the self. This self is so precious, because this self, if you're able to tame it well, this self has the capacity to become fully enlightened being, to benefit all sentient beings. For example, in the history of humanity, for example, say 2000 years ago, there was Jesus Christ who appeared on this earth and who subdued his self-ego and boosted his self-confidence. Likewise, say the Lord Krishna, Prophet Muhammad, and then 2,500 years ago, the Buddha Shakyamuni, and say the Bahula, the teacher of the Baha'i tradition, and likewise the Tirthankar, Mahavira. So we see that all these enlightened beings, when they subdue the self-referential ego and they boosted the self-confidence, all of them, they have tremendous self-confidence. So they never have a self-hate. They hate only the self-referential ego, not the self. Because this self is so precious. Just as these enlightened beings, they are successful in helping so many beings, this self that you have also has that capacity to help others. So what we need to do is we need to learn ways and means to subdue this self-referential ego and boost the self-confidence. Okay, so for that matter, we'll read this slowly. With the determination to achieve the highest aim for the benefit of all sentient beings, which surpasses even the wish-fulfilling gem, may hold them dear at all times. Whenever I interact with someone, may I view myself as the lowest amongst all, and from the very depths of my heart respectfully hold others as superior. In all my deeds may I probe into my mind, and as soon as mental and emotional afflictions arise, as they endanger myself and others, I strongly confront them and avert them. When I see beings of unpleasant character, oppressed by strong negativity and suffering, May I hold them dear, for they are rare to find, as I have discovered a jewel treasure. When others out of jealousy treat me wrong with abuse, slander and scorn, may I take upon myself the defeat and offer to others the victory. When someone whom I have helped or in whom I have placed great hopes mistreats me in extremely hurtful ways, may I regard him still as my precious teacher. In brief, may I offer benefit and joy to all my mothers, both directly and indirectly. May I quietly take upon myself all hurts and pains of my mothers. May all these remain undefiled by the stains of the 8 mundane concerns, and may recognizing all things as illusions, devoid of clinging, be released from bondage. From my 2 collections, vast the space that I have amassed, from working with effort as this practice for a great length of time, chief leading Buddha for all those whose minds were blinded by ignorance. Okay, we will do 5 minutes meditation. Okay, ready? Okay, 5 minutes. I don't see the need for me to describe or give instruction on the meditation. Okay, to make it very quick, so it's going to be a simple breathing meditation. And of course, there's so many kinds of meditation. What you're going to do is a very simple one and yet very effective. So this consists of four things. One is the body posture. Number 2 is the focal point. Number 3 is identifying the errors of meditation. And finally, applying the remedies to overcome the errors. Body posture wise, sitting upright, and the backbone upright, and the head tilted forward a little bit, and the eyes not closed, eyes half open, 45 degrees cast down, and the tip of the tongue should touch the upper palate to avoid excessive accumulation of saliva in your mouth, and breathe naturally. Don't impose on breath, don't control your breath, and the teeth and lips, keep them in their natural course, and your right hand on your left hand, and the two thumbs joining, forming a triangle. Place the 2 hands on your laps in restful state. Okay, this is body posture. Number 2 is what we're going to focus on, focal point. What we're going to meditate on is a very tiny white dot between your nose and upper lip. So this position where you're going to focus on a very tiny dot, 1 mm or 2 mm in diameter between nose and upper lip. So while you focus the mind there, multitasking, count your breath. Breathe in, breathe out, cycle 1. Breathe in, breathe out, cycle 2. This is what we do over the next 5 minutes. So this is the focal point. In the process of this meditation, number 3, identifying the errors of meditation. You may not be doing the meditation properly. Errors can be there. What kind of errors are there? 2-fold. One is mental laxity, and the other one is mental excitement. Mental excitement is when your mind becomes overactive, and then getting distracted here and there. This is mental excitement. And the other one is mind becomes very passive, known as the laxity, the lethargy. Your mind becomes lethargic, heavy, inserviceable. So these are 2 errors. Should any of these 2 errors arise, then we have to apply the number 4. Number 4 is applying remedies to overcome the errors. And the remedy is 2-fold. Introspection and mindfulness. If you say your mind, the meditative mind, which is like the dog, pet dog, when you lost the pet dog, you go and search for the pet dog. This is number 1. Once you find the pet dog, number 2, tie the dog with the rope and bring it home and try to put it at your home. Likewise, your mind is like a pet dog. If it does not sit on the focal point, it gets distracted. Then you apply the introspection, the first remedy, introspection, to look for the mind. Once you find the mind distracted or in a relaxed state, then you apply the second remedy, which is mindfulness. Like the rope, you have to bring the mind back to the intended object of meditation. Okay, these are four things that we need to keep in mind as we do meditation. 5 minutes ready. Okay, we are on chapter 12, page 34. Chapter 12, page 30 of this book. The other book, the Spiral Bound book, 400, on the middle way. Page 34, chapter 12. Okay, I think we are on stanza 282.
Finished 284.
284, done. Okay, and now we are on page 35, stanza 285. 285, okay. If someone who is shrouded in complete ignorance and impedes suchness will not even attain good fortune, but need to mention liberation. Okay, so this is all about how to be wise in pursuing a path. Say when we meet with, okay, let's say, oftentimes some friends, what they do is that friends, they graduate from this high school, and when they go to college, say the person A and B, these two are friends, and A is going to a very simple college, and B is getting a very good college, but the B doesn't want to join the good college, want to join the, because my friend is in this college. So this is going in the wrong direction. So what it says, if someone who is shrouded in complete ignorance, say if the person A is going into ignorance and impedes suchness, and doesn't see the reality, and then you follow that person, then this person will not even attain good fortune. Say because that this with ignorance stops you from, let alone achieving good, the enlightenment. It will even stop you from achieving good, say the birth while in samsara, will not even attain good fortune. Good fortune meaning fortunate birth. What need to mention liberation. So therefore the point is, it encourages us not to follow, not to blindly follow, say the people or the teachers like this. We have to follow with some wisdom involved. 286. Lapsing from ethics is preferable to lapsing from the view. Through ethics one attains high rebirth. The supreme state is reached by means of the view. So let's say the practice of the ethics and the practice of the view, right? So the practice of ethics is meant to, so this ethics here referring to ethics of refraining from the 10 non-virtues. Ethics of refraining primarily. And so this ethics is meant to give you a higher birth, say like the birth of the human beings, celestial beings, and so forth. And on the other hand, we have the view, correct view, the view of emptiness, to view the wisdom, the view here referring to the wisdom, to see the reality. Of the two, if you have to choose one thing, the view is more important. Of course, both important, but if you have to choose only one, then the view is more important, because the view is the one which will liberate you from suffering altogether. Lapsing from ethics is preferable to lapsing from the view. Through ethics, because the choice is, because of the ethics, the result is higher birth. And the result of the view, correct view of the wisdom, is to take you to total liberation, the supreme state of liberation. Two. Of the two, the supreme state is more important. 287. For the unreceptive, conceptions of a self are best. To teach them selflessness is not. They would go to bad rebirths, while the extraordinary attain peace. Okay, this is very important point. Say the selflessness and the selfhood. Say, the self and all phenomena, they are like dream. They are like dream, meaning they are not solid as a entity, solid as a person. On the other hand, no, these are not like dream. They are also solidly there. The self is solid, everything is solid. So, there are two views. One which solidifies the self, which solidifies everything. And the other which says that self does exist. Self exists, everything exists, but they exist differently from how they appear to us. They do exist. They exist like a dream. They do exist. So, of the two, if somebody has a very strong feeling of a solidified version of the self, solidified version of the self, the world, like this, then for the unreceptive, if one is very strongly adhering to the belief that things exist so solidly, self, others, the world, like this, so solidly, then the person is not receptive to listen to the non-solidified version of the self, the dreamlike nature of the self. You're not receptive. For the unreceptive, conceptions of a self are the best. So there the Buddha, when the Buddha Shakyamuni said, even the Buddha taught the concept of the Atman, concept of the self, to some people who are very strongly into this belief. For them, the Buddha said it's best to teach the selfhood rather than the concept of the selflessness. So for the unreceptive, conception of self are the best. To teach them selflessness, if the person is not receptive to learn about these things, and if you teach about this, it can be very dangerous. The person may think that, you are talking about the selflessness, you are talking about the nihilism, you said that self does not exist, you said that nothing exists, you are teaching nihilism. If somebody believes in nihilism, that nothing exists, then you will disregard the law of karma. If one disregards the law of karma, then one will not engage in good activities, good deeds. You will always engage in bad activities, bad deeds. Because by doing bad thing, as long as the police does not arrest me, it's fine. Right? This is our attitude, which means that we don't believe in the karma concept. So whereas if you have very strong concept, the respect for the law of karma, irrespective of the police, irrespective of the existence of police or not, you will follow, you will do good things all the time. Okay. So, with this nihilism, then the disregard for the karma can happen. If you disregard the law of karma, then one will engage in, which is easier to do, bad things and good things. Bad things is much easier. So by doing bad things, then you'll go into miseries, right? It says, to teach them selflessness is not. They would, by teaching the selflessness, they will mistake the selflessness for nihilism. By mistaking this for nihilism, then they will disregard the law of karma. By disregarding the law of karma, they will not engage in good actions, they will always engage in bad actions, because of which they will go to bad rebirths, because of the negative karmas. While the extraordinary attain nirvana, attain peace, extraordinary meaning people who can understand the selflessness very precisely, people who can understand the dreamlike nature very precisely, they will attain the final peace, nirvana. 288. There is no other door to peace, and it destroys wrong views. That which is the object of all Buddhas is called selflessness. Okay. Let's say that this is what we mentioned this morning also, I think. Let's say that we have a dream. We are sleeping, then we start to have a dream. It's a very scary dream, and how many of you did have the experience of scary dreams in your life? How many of you don't have the experience of scary dreams, or you don't remember? Okay. In fact, I used to have many of the scary dreams. I don't know what I did in my past life. Negative karmas, I don't know what kind of negative karmas I did in past life. I would have lots of scary dreams, lots and lots of scary dreams. Okay. Let's say that you are having a very scary dream where, say, the ghost is chasing you, right? Where a ghost is chasing you, and say then you call your say father or mother to help you, and your father or mother comes to help you, and then what happened to you, my daughter, my son, what happened to you? Then you say, oh, ghost is chasing you, ghost is chasing me, and then your father or mother say cast some mantras, Om Mani Padme Hum, like this, right? And then the ghost retreats. Goes back and listens to powerful, he retreats, and the mother tells you, are you okay now? You said, okay, yes. Can I leave now? Yes. Then the mother leaves. Again the ghost comes back. Right? Okay, tell me, it's so tiring. The ghost comes and you put effort to bring your parents there, to remove the ghost. Again the ghost comes. So it's so tiring. So say just removing the ghost once, this is just a temporary solution, it's not the ultimate solution. If you don't want to have the ghost at all, what should we be doing? Ghost dream at all, what should we be doing? Call the mother all the time, ask the mother, please sit with me all the time. What will you do? Wake up, right? The voice thing to wake up, you don't have to call the mother anymore. Just wake up, then the ghost dream will stop, right? Okay, so what it says here is that 288, stanza 288. There's no other door to peace, and it destroys wrong views. There's no other door to peace, meaning that the only door to absolute peace is wake up from the absolute peace, from the peace, absolute peace of freedom from ghost chasing you, dream ghost chasing you is wake up. This is the ultimate solution. Right? There's no other door to that peace. Peace of the fear of samsara, fears of samsara. And it destroys wrong views. All the views which entangle us to samsara, which entangle to us to the fears of samsara, all these wrong views will be destroyed by this view of waking up from the sleep of ignorance, view of seeing the emptiness of all phenomena. That which is the object of all Buddhas, and that is being which all the Buddhas meaning all the enlightened beings, or what that object which all the enlightened beings continue to view, continue to perceive, is the concept of selflessness. So this concept of selflessness, if you practice it, if you meditate on this, this is the only door to ultimate peace. So therefore, the problems that we have in our life, sadness, sickness, aging, depression, stress, tension. Then if you're very close to your parents, the separation is so painful. If you're not close to parents, again this is a problem, right? Fights with the parents, quarrels with the parents. If you're close, there's a problem. If you're not close, there's a problem. These are all like what is happening in the dream. Right? All what is happening in the dream. So, the final peace, if you really want to achieve the final peace, then only door is the door to wake up from this sleep of ignorance. Okay. 289. The unreceptive are terrified just by its very name. Or so-called strong man is seen. What so-called strong man is seen who does not frighten the weak? Okay, say the unreceptive, somebody who believes in the solidified version of phenomena. Things are so real, So there, when they hear that everything is like a dream, they feel so scared, they feel terrified. Unreceptive people who are unreceptive to the teaching on emptiness. They are terrified just by its very name of the emptiness. What so-called strong man is seen who does not frighten the weak? We here referring to the weak people, and the strong man here referring to the wisdom of emptiness. The strong people, the very definition of strong people is something which frightens the weaker people. Likewise, the wisdom of emptiness, this is so strong, so powerful, that the people who are not receptive, they feel so scared just to hear this teaching. Okay, say some people, they have tumor, say tumor or heart, the cardiac problem, and problem is so severe, right? Then it needs open heart surgery. Okay, by the way, the doctor's there. Open heart surgery, right? Dr. Rajeshi. Okay, open heart surgery, and the person's so scared of even just a prick, right? Needle pricking you. The person's so terrified, so scared. And without this open heart surgery, so let's say we go back, like, doctor, how many years since the angiography, these things started? Dr. Rajeshi? More than a decade. Let's say 30 years ago. 30 years ago, the only possibility is open heart surgery if you have the blockage, right? The heart, what do you call it? The vessels blockage there. Then the, say, 80% blockage, then surgery, open heart surgery. You're so scared, forget about surgery. Even just a needle pricking is so, it scares you. So what should we do now? Go for surgery or let's wait for death? Right? Okay, so this is like a choice. This is the and this surgery, to be wise, although this surgery is so scary, but you have to go through, because this will save you. Likewise, the wisdom of emptiness is so scary to think of, but this will save you from all our miseries. But initially, when you think of this, because of our adherence, because of our belief in things existing so solidly from time immemorial till now, because of this belief, the wisdom of emptiness seems to be so scary. No, it can't be true, no. It's so scary. Like the surgery is so scary to that person who is scared of even the needle prick. But if you're going through such the severe health issue, then you have to have the surgery, you have to go through surgery. Likewise, if you don't want the miseries of samsara, sickness, aging, death, and to be in the hands of the terrorists, to be trapped in the national disasters and so forth. Oh, it's just terrible. Just think of that. When we don't think about these things, oh no, I don't want to go to surgery, it's fine. But when we really have a very serious the same issue there with your health, then if there's only choice, you have to go for it. Likewise, when you think of the very serious samsaric pains, right? Say the pain of losing near and dear ones. Pain of losing near and dear ones, this is so acute. So acute, the pain of losing near and dear ones. So we think of these, then we see that the wisdom of emptiness, however much you may feel terrified, but it's worth practicing it and meditating on it. Okay, the unreceptive are terrified just by its very name, or so-called strong man is seen who does not frighten the weak. This principle is not taught by Tathagatas for the sake of debate. So this wisdom of emptiness, which says that nothing exists objectively real, everything is like a dream. And then whereas there were so many traditions, contemporary with the Buddha Shakyamuni and post-Buddha Shakyamuni, so many traditions over there who taught that things do exist objectively, two things do exist inherently and solidly. So there's a discrepancy there, there's a clash between the views which the Buddha taught, but the Buddha taught this view not to debate, not for the sake of the debate, to propose debate with the other teachers. 290. This principle, the teaching on emptiness, is not taught by the Tathagata meaning the Buddha, for the sake of debate with his contemporary, the other scholars, but it burns up others' contentions as fire does its fuel. But in the process, out of deep conviction, the Buddha himself experienced this, the dreamlike nature, and on that basis he experienced all his tensions, the fears of life dissolve, and because of which he experienced what is known as the Sugata, the one gone to bliss, perfect bliss. And so because this is what he has experienced this, and out of compassion, he teaches the same thing to all the beings. In the process when he was teaching, naturally it contradicts, or if it refutes or rejects the views held by the other contemporary teachers. So yet it burns others' contentions as fire does its fuel. 291. Whoever knows this teaching will not relish others. Thus to me this teaching seems like the door to destruction. Okay. Whoever knows this teaching. So once you, for example, once you know quantum physics and relativity theory, once you, of course we have to study the Newtonian physics first. First we have to study the Newtonian physics, and then as you reach class, say 11, 12, then BSc Physics, BSc Honors, then we study more in depth of quantum physics, relativity theory. So once you understand the quantum physics, relativity theory so well, then the Newtonian physics is just nothing for you. So like this, when you see this concept that everything is like a dream, this is so profound. When you actually experience it, then you see that all other teachings are the same, less, not much to be relished. 291. Whoever knows this teaching of the emptiness, the dreamlike nature of phenomena, will not relish other teachings. Thus to me, this teaching seems like the door to destruction of all other wrong views. Destruction of all other wrong views. Okay. 292. For those who think there is in reality no self and abide in this thought, how will existence cause pleasure or non-existence cause fear? Okay, this is so important. Say that our life is fluctuated between seeking happiness and shunning miseries. And sometimes we get happiness, sometimes we get miseries. So this is how we are toast between the two experiences, and sometimes neutral feelings. Okay. And say the point is that the happiness which we seek, which we see as happiness, how we know that this happiness that we seek, we consider this happiness, is not a genuine happiness. How do we know this? Is that we get it and we lose it. The moment we lose it, it gives rise to miseries. So this is not what we are seeking. We are seeking what is known as lasting happiness. Happiness which we will never lose and which never give rise to any other the pains. Okay. So what is that? That we should be able to say the miseries we don't want, and the happiness which is very temporary, which will give rise to miseries in the future. This happiness also we have to transcend, and the miseries we have to transcend. How to transcend the happiness and the miseries? It's like in dream. In dream, you have the tremendous misery of encounter with the dream ghost, and in dream you have a tremendous relief when a father brings a tantric to remove the ghost, right? So there's tremendous happiness and tremendous miseries. So with this, the misery we don't want it, and even this happiness is a deceptive happiness. The moment the mandir disappears, the tantric disappears, again the ghost comes back. So this gives rise to more miseries in the future. So now the point is, transcend the miseries in the dream, transcend the happiness in the dream. That is the real happiness, right? How to transcend? Wake up from the dream, right? Wake up from the sleep of ignorance. So likewise, we have to transcend, we have to wake up to see the reality, so that we transcend the miseries, samsaric miseries, and the samsaric happiness. Okay. 292. For those who think there is in reality here referring to the objective. Objectively, there is no self. Self exists. Everything exists. But nothing exists objectively. Right? In reality here meaning on the objective level. On the objective level, nothing exists. No self. Okay. So this understanding that objectively the self does not exist, nothing exists. Everything exists. Self exists, others exist, but objectively nothing exists. If objectively nothing exists, how do things exist then? How does the self exist? Exists subjectively. Okay. So if you know that nothing exists objectively, including the self, and then you abide in this experience and abide in this thought, in this meditation, in this thought, what will happen? How will existence cause pleasure? Right? Say, when you, in the dream, if you come to know that what are you doing, what is happening here, it's just a dream. In your dream, how many of you have what is known as the lucid dream? Or REM sleep, the lucid dream, where you identify the dream as dream. How many of you have that experience in your life? One over there, 2, 3, any more? No? 4 or 5. Okay, motion first. Or how many of you never identified the dream as dream in your life? Not even a single time happened. Angitla? Never. Unlucky guy. Okay, anyone? Oh, Churula, no. Oh. No. Okay, anyone else? Okay. One girl, one boy. Okay. So now, let's say that if you're dreaming and then your friend brings a bunch of chocolates for you as a birthday gift, and you realize it's a dream, will you feel attached to the birthday gift? This gift, will you feel attached? Huh? You will not, because you know that this is dream. There's no chocolate there. It's just a dream chocolate, right? Okay. 1. And if somebody snatches this away from you, will you be sad? You will not be sad, knowing that this is, if somebody snatches it in the absence of this, you have no worry. If you have it, you will not feel excited. You are free from excitement and the worries, right? Okay, this is because you realize that what is happening the existence of the chocolate cannot create excitement in you. Absence of chocolate cannot create miseries in you, right? Because you know that this is dream. Okay. How will existence cause pleasure? Existence of chocolate in your dream cause you pleasure, and how can non-existence of chocolate can cause you fear, right? Okay. Because why? Why the existence does not cause you pleasure? Why the non-existence does not cause you fear? Because of your awakening, because of you waking up from the sleep of ignorance. Whereas if you don't wake up from the sleep of ignorance, then these things will continue to interfere in you. This will continue to create problems in you. 293. Seeing the many fathers who are seeds of futility, who would not feel pity for people who long for a teaching? Okay, this is so true, so true, so true. Okay, let's say there are many people. You see many people. So whether Asians, whether Indians, say the Tibetans, the Chinese, Westerners, Americans, Britishers, Japanese, Hong Kong, Cambodia. It doesn't matter. Wherever you go, we see that you find people who are genuinely interested in looking for happiness, mental happiness. They genuinely are seekers. They seek for a teaching. Teaching means a guidance, how to give us the maximum happiness, how to get rid of all our miseries. There are people who genuinely seek such a teaching, such a path. Then they meet with different teachers, right? different teachers, and oftentimes they meet with the wrong teachers. Wrong teachers. Seeing the many fathers meaning the wrong teachers. The wrong teachers who are seeds of futility, who are like they say, when you plant a poisonous seed, only poisonous tree will grow. By meeting with these teachers, bad influence can happen to us. There are stories, there are so many stories, right? Bad influence, you can acquire bad influences in our life. For example, Angulimala, what made him to go to kill 1,000 people? What made him to go to kill 1,000 people? Is it because that he is so bad person, born as a very wicked and very vicious person? No, he was a brilliant and extraordinary child. Extraordinary child with the capacity to benefit so many people. Yet he ended up in going to kill 1,000 people, and he was successful in killing 999, right? So what made him to change from such a wholesome, amazing, wonderful person to a very deadly, say, vicious, cynical person? What made him to become one like that? Because of the wrong guidance from the teacher. Wrong teacher. Wrong teacher. And the story, I don't need to give the story in detail. You can read the story yourself, Angulimala, right? The wrong teacher. Okay. So therefore, say, seeing the many fathers who are seeds of futility, who can make you go into, while you go to seek the path for happiness, then the wrong teachers can take you to more miseries, futility. Who would not, when this is the situation that you see, then the wise people, who would not feel pity for those who long for a teaching for genuine happiness. Now, instead of genuine happiness, they are taken to more miseries because of meeting with the wrong teachers. Okay, this is very important. So, for that matter, because this being the case, how should we make sure that in our next lives we meet with the right teacher? How? This is an extremely important point. So therefore, this is what we discussed this morning also. Say, one thing which is so important is that we should have a critical analysis. You should have a critical analysis that one does not follow blindly. that one is not driven by blind faith. That is so important. That we are driven by critical analysis with the rational thinking. The rational openness and the power of rational thinking. These two must be there. Openness and the power of rational thinking. Both are required. If you have openness but you don't have the power of rationality, then you may end up in very strange things. If you have a power of rationality but you don't have the openness, you will not be ready to listen to others. Right? So you should have both. Okay. Next, 294. Okay, this is interesting. The teaching of the Shakyas, Nirgranthas and Brahmins are perceived. This is very true. The same dharma, so in very generic sense, dharma is described as three kinds. Dharma of the mind, dharma of the eyes, and the dharma of the ears. Dharma of the mind means where you analyze, you work on the mind to improve your mind. Dharma of the eyes means where you see somebody physically so visible, physically torturing yourself, physically, So there is a dharma of the eyes. And then the dharma of the words, ears. Dharma of the ears is where the recitations are done all the time. Recitations, right? Mantras and so forth. Okay. So the teaching of the Shakyas mean teachings of the Buddha, then teachings of the Nirgranthas and the teaching of the Brahmins are perceived as that the dharma of the mind, the dharma of the eyes, and the dharma of the ears. Dharma of the mind meaning the teaching of the Buddha. Teaching of the Buddha is to change your mind, to transform your mind. And the teaching of the Nirgranthas is the dharma of the eyes. Eyes where visibly you can see them beating their own bodies, as a penance, practice of penance. And then the Brahmins reciting the shlokas, the Vedic, the mantras. Okay, there is a dharma of the ears. Thus, the subduous teaching is subtle, meaning that saying if the Buddha's teaching is so profound, why the followers are less in number? Answer given is of the three dharmas: dharma of the eyes, dharma of the ear, and dharma of the mind. Dharma of the mind is very subtle. Because it is subtle, people don't want to go there. People are disinterested. Because people want easy things. So therefore the people who really follow the Buddha's teachings is very less. And for example, if His Holiness is to give two teachings. One teaching, for example, say one time of the year, and with a gap of 6 months, another teaching. First teaching is on Shri Kalachakra empowerment, where the students, you don't have to do anything. Simply go there, receive blessings. And second teaching, you have to listen to His Holiness about emptiness. And you have to study. Right? So which do you think will attract more people? First one, 100%. The first one, lakhs of people come there. With the second one, so less. And if the teaching, lucky that the teaching, the second one, should not be too long, like 10 days, or say, the few years. No, it shouldn't happen like years and years. It should happen just few days. 2 or 3 days is fine. Many people will be there. But if it is like few months, hardly 1,000 people. If the teachings go on emptiness, because the topic is very difficult, people don't understand it, they don't want to listen to it. Whereas the Shri Kalachakra empowerment, people don't have the responsibility, it's very easy, sit there, blessings, Guru is doing everything for you, very easy. So therefore lakhs of people are there, right? It's not just with the other traditions versus Buddhism. Within Buddhism, same thing happens, right? So the point is that teaching of the dharma of the mind, which means to work on one's own mind, to transform one's own mind. No guru can transform your mind, right? Guru will teach how to transform your mind. It is your job to actually implement it and to transform your mind and then make yourself happy. And the second one is the dharma of the eye, where you torture yourself. You don't do work to transform your mind. Just torture yourself, jump on the tree, trishul, right? Jump into the fire, like this. This is always visible. You don't have to really transform your mind. And then the dharma of the ears, where the mantras, all these, the sacred chants are being said, it's just for the ears. So that's the subduous teaching of the Shakyas, subduous teaching, because it is to do with the mind. One has to actually work on it to see emptiness and then study, reflect, meditate. Therefore, it is very subtle and people are not so keen to go for that. And it's not just, as I said earlier, not just between Buddhism and other teachings. Even within Buddhism, for example, the same teacher, His Holiness, I said it. And with other teachers also, those who teach something like, this is a very sacred, holy thing, people are attracted. Something on emptiness, people will not be. But what actually helps the people is the wisdom of emptiness. What actually helps the people. So this is like surgery, nobody wants to go to surgery, everybody wants to take pills, that's it. But there are cases where only the surgery will help, right? Okay. 295. Brahmins' practices are said mainly to be an outward show. It is like, the mantras are said, and people say, oh, this is so sacred, others cannot say this, it's only for the only few people, descendants are allowed, no, the others are not allowed to say this. The practice of Nigranda are said to be mainly stultifying. Stultifying is to say, make oneself not really work, to make oneself prone to, say, the confusion and so forth. Stultifying. Brahmins are revered because they adopt the orthodox. Orthodox meaning, okay, you are not allowed. Only this person is allowed. So like this, being very orthodox. And then Nirgrandas. So then automatically, so it's only you are allowed, only this person allowed, we are allowed, you are not allowed. Then automatically this seems to be something so holy. then nirgandhas are pitied because they adopt the diluted. Diluted meaning that, so beating yourself, torturing yourself like this, it makes you more into confusion. 297. Suffering is a maturation and thus is not virtuous. Similarly, birth too is not virtuous, being a maturation of actions. Okay. Okay, suffering is a maturation and thus is okay. So same, the nirgandha, what is the dharma? Dharma of the eyes, meaning visibly you're touching yourself, creating suffering on yourself. So the suffering that you incur on yourself as a means to purify the negativities, this suffering is necessarily because of the ripening of the results of the previous karma. So your previous karma is being ripened. So this is not really a dharma practice. One. Then why the orthodox one is why? Because only few people, only Brahmins are allowed and not others are not allowed. So Brahmin is what? By birth. So birth is, okay, let's say 297. Suffering related to the nirgandha's approach is a maturation of what? Maturation of the non-virtuous karma, previous non-virtuous karma, and thus is not virtuous. It has nothing to do with virtuous, not virtuous, because it is just the ripening of the negative karma of what there was in the past. Similarly, the orthodox, being born as a Brahmin, this birth. So birth too is not virtuous. Birth itself is nothing there. Sometimes you may take birth as a Brahmin, sometimes the same Brahmin may take birth as a Kshatriya, some Brahmin may take birth as an untouchable next life, you never know. So this is just, it's just a matter of the previous karma. So similar, birth too is not virtuous. This is by being born, for example, say by being born, this is how it's not just for the Brahmins. Even within Buddhism, this is also to be thought of. Within Buddhism also, you can say, oh, the child is born in this family, holy, very sacred family. No, it has nothing to do with, So by taking birth, there is the progress of the previous karma. Now, whether the person is going to do good or bad, not sure. Even you are born in a very holy, sacred family, considered to be a sacred family, but the person could be terrible. We never know, right? So therefore, this is not just with the inter-religious; it can be intra-religious. Within Buddhism, also this should be really considered. So these are the very standard books by Aryadeva. So even the Buddhists, we have to really think about these things. What is happening within Buddhism? Yeah. Similarly, birth too is not virtuous, being a maturation of our previous actions. 298. In brief, Tathagata has explained virtue as non-violence, non-violence meaning as a harmlessness. So, the real virtue, the real dharma is two. Real dharma is two. The dharma of the harmlessness and the dharma of the wisdom of emptiness. Real dharma is two. In brief, Tathagata explains virtue as non-violence or harmlessness, one. Number two is emptiness. Emptiness meaning the wisdom of emptiness. Okay, why? Because the dharma of the non-violence, dharma of the harmlessness, if you refrain from harming others, that is what everybody can do. That is what everybody can do. So that is exercise of the mental, it's not the physical. Say you are very hungry and somebody is rich and you can easily steal. And by stealing, the other person is harmed. Right? So therefore you deliberately refrain yourself. You deliberately refrain yourself from stealing others, from harming others, from engaging in 10 non-virtuous actions. You count these 10 non-virtuous as somehow they're all connected with harming others. Stealing, killing, sexual misconduct, slandering, harsh words, idle gossip, then lying, then the malicious thought, then the covetousness, and then the wrong view. So we see that all the 10 noble virtuous actions, somehow they are connected with harming others, right? So therefore, harming others, it is not necessarily a physical act. Refraining from harming others, this is a mental exercise, transforming the mind. So this is the dharma of the mind. Dharma of the mind, right? Refraining from harming others. Non-violence meaning the harmlessness, practice of harmlessness, refraining from harming others. So that will guarantee us to take birth, to have a higher rebirth next life. Stopping harming others, refraining from harming others is a dharma, because that dharma is to give rise to a happy result in the future. So that stopping harming others guarantees us to engage, to achieve favorable birth next time. One. Then the dharma of the wisdom of emptiness. Second one. Dharma of the wisdom of emptiness, that will guarantee us to achieve the total peace. Total peace, total freedom from all forms of misery. So these are the two dharmas. In brief, the Tathagatas explain virtue as non-violence and emptiness as nirvana. And here, there are only these two here in the context of achieving a genuine happiness. These are the only two dharmas. Refrain yourself. It doesn't matter whether you're Buddhist or non-Buddhist. It doesn't matter. If you want a happy rebirth next life, you may be a Hindu, you may be a Muslim, you may be Jain, Buddhist, even non-believers. If you want a happy rebirth next time, practice refraining from 10 non-virtues. Right? And if you want total freedom from all suffering, whether you're Buddhist, non-Buddhist, it doesn't matter. Practice the wisdom of emptiness. So these are two things. 299. To ordinary people, their own position, like their birthplace, is attractive. Why would you find attractive that which precludes it? Okay. So say, this is what I mentioned this morning. Say, how, for example, in my case, how I become a Buddhist? This is a big question, right? Right? Okay, how I become a Buddhist? By birth or by common sense, by thinking of common sense? I'm not too sure. Till age 19 by birth. Till age 19 or 20 by birth. Then age 20, I met one American lady doctor who gave a wonderful presentation of the brain. And then I started asking questions. I started to have a question to my own faith, whether or not there's a mind which is different from the brain. So since then my exploration starts. So then, embracing teaching of the Buddha is not because of the birth, it's because of my common sense. Till age 19, it was by birth, right? Okay, so the point is that, which means till age 19 or 20, I was a very ordinary person, right? So it says 299. To ordinary people, their own position, like their birthplace, is attractive. Whatever tradition they are born with, they're happy with that. They don't want to go beyond that. They don't want to study beyond that. They don't want to explore beyond that. So to ordinary people, their own position, like their birthplace, is attractive. This nice, oh, I'm Buddhist, I'm Hindu, I'm Muslim. It's all because of their birth, right? Why would you find attractive that which precludes it? What is beyond this point, the person is not interested. So this is indication of the person being ordinary, right? Okay. Number 2, 300. What do you mean by intelligent people? Intelligent, the intelligent who seek what is good, adopt what is worthwhile, even from others. They will not, intelligent people, they will not say that, oh, what is said by the Buddha is good because I'm born in the Buddhist family. They will not say like this. Oh, what is said in Christianity? You know, say about, say the compassion, charity, education, right? Then the health. What the Christians are doing, this is so good, it's amazing, we have to embrace it. Oh, this is a Christian, okay, the ultimate motive for conversion. There is nothing like this. Whatever is their motivation, it's not that all Christians have the ulterior motives. Many Christians, they are so genuine, just to benefit another creature created by God. Another creature who is seen as the child of Jesus Christ. Amazing, right? Just adopt that. Okay, charity, we also have to engage in more charity. And we have to work on the education, we have to work on the health, we have to work on the generosity and so forth. One. And then say, oh, in the Muslim countries, the people, going to intoxication is so less, right? In most likelihood is zero. It's more than is zero, but they can be, once in a while, there can be some, the smuggling can happen. Otherwise, as a Muslim nation, alcohol is forbidden. It's not allowed. This is amazing, right? And so many youth, so many young people, with so amazing, the brilliant young people, they get destroyed. They become ruined because of the alcohol, right? So this is something that we have to take from the Muslim countries. It's amazing, right? So we should open, right? Okay, likewise from Hinduism, likewise from Jainism, likewise from Judaism, Baha'i. So if we do like this, then this is how the wise people, intelligent people embrace. This intelligent people's approach. Intelligent who seek what is good, adopt what is worthwhile even from others. Does the sun not belong to all on earth who have sight? Right? If you're blind, then say, okay, this is my place, and then you will not see around. Or say if you have if you have a small torch, which is so narrow in thinking, small torch, it will only light one part, it will not light everything. So which means our mind is very narrow. Whereas the sun, it is not biased to one small thing. Like a garden, if you want to enjoy the garden with a small torch, you can never enjoy the garden. At most you can enjoy one flower. One flower is never a garden. If you really want to enjoy a garden, you have to wait for the sun to rise. So the sun is open to all, is unbiased. Likewise, we need to cultivate intelligent people. They are like the sun, they are not like the small torch. They are like the sun, they'll be very unbiased, they are ready to embrace anything good from the other traditions. So this should be approach. Okay, any questions? We finish this chapter now. Any questions? If we have, well good. If not, then we will end with the dedication prayer. Any questions?
Can we ask slightly unrelated?
Yeah, unrelated.
Yes, any questions? Not necessarily confined to this text. Okay, raise your hands. Ankitla over there. Yes. And here.
Just wanted to clarify, Nigrantha refers to Jains. Nigranthas, they are Jainas?
Yes, they are. Yes, over there.
In 294.
294, yes.
What is called subduous teaching? Well, some class called subduous teaching.
294. The subduer meaning the Buddha. The Buddha meaning is not necessarily Buddha Shakyamuni. Any person who has subdued all the mental defilements. Subduer. And subduer is teaching. Teaching here is the teaching on the wisdom of emptiness. Okay, yes, Professor Meenakshi ji?
I want to ask you something you had talked about earlier.
Yes.
The idea of, you had talked about, I think when we were on another page, about space like emptiness and illusion like emptiness.
Yes, yes, yes.
I'd just like you to just expand on that if you have time.
Okay. So this is a very important point. The whole point of what we've been, what is being taught here, just making a reference all the time, not actually explaining detail as to what emptiness is. All the references given here. So this is to be understood in two ways. One is known as space-like emptiness, and the other is known as the illusion-like emptiness too. Okay, space-like emptiness. So the point is we have to see that, or from the object side, like dream. Say in the dream, you've been affected by the dream so badly. When you wake up, you are not at all affected by the dream anymore, right? It's the same dream, it's the same person, but in the dream you are affected, right? Something good thing comes, you are attracted. Like ghost comes, then the fear in you, are easily affected by the dream. In the dream, outside the dream, you recollect the dream, but the dream will not affect you. Why? Because in the dream, anyone, why? In the dream, why are you affected by the dream, the same dream? And when you wake up, you're not affected by the same, even though you recollect the dream, but you're not affected by the dream. Why in the dream you are affected? Anyone? Yes, you see the dream as real. What do you mean by real? Say, we have to know what is real. Okay, what is my right hand? Flower. What is my left hand? Nothing is there. Okay, do you see the blue flower in my left hand? No. Can you imagine a blue flower in the left hand? Now imagine a blue flower. Okay, now tell me, what is my right hand? Red flower. What is my left hand? There's no blue flower. What are you saying? Just imaginary blue flower is there, right? There is no blue flower. And if you say blue flower, people who listen to the recordings may think that it's a magician. Right? So there's no blue flower there. It's the imaginary blue flower. Tell me, which of the two can affect your mind easily? The red flower in my right hand or the imaginary blue flower? Which of the two can affect your mind? Red flower. You're getting it? Because it is. What's the difference between the two things? Red flower and the imaginary blue flower. What's the difference? In your own simple language, tell me what's the difference between these two flowers? Red flower and the imaginary blue flower. What's the difference? In your own language. Just speak your mind. Just speak your mind. Right? Not as a philosopher. Anyone? Very quick.
Conviction.
So, with this, the red flower, you get conviction that something is there. With the imaginary flower, this is no conviction. It's just coming from your mind. Okay, anyone else? Very quick. Just speak your mind.
The blue flower does not have any substance.
Blue flower does not have any substance. The red flower has a substance there. Very good. Anyone else? Very good.
You can see it.
The red flower, you can see it. Blue flower, we cannot see it. See what? See the object. See what? See the object. You're getting it? So, there's an object there. There's an object there. The flower is there. There's an object there. And what sees it? The subject. You're getting it? What sees it? My subject. My mind, which is the subject. What is seen? The flower is the object. Okay. So there's the object-subject interaction is there with the red flower. With the blue flower, this blue flower is coming, the imaginary blue flower, this is coming from where? From the object or from the subject? The imaginary blue flower is coming from the subject, from your mind or from the object? From the subject. What comes from, when you know that something comes from your subject, from your mind, then it does not affect you. When you think that something exists from the object, not from the subject, from the object, then your mind is affected. You're getting it? Okay. What you see as existing from the object can affect you. What you see as exists from the subject, you will not be affected. You will be very stable. You getting it? This is so important.
Geshe, I can imagine so many things, and that is also from the subject.
Yes.
So how is it that it doesn't affect me? I can imagine all kinds of...
No. Imagine, oh, I imagine chocolate, oh, I'm so happy, right? Effect meaning in that sense, right? I imagine a rotten chocolate, then I cry because I imagine rotten chocolate. I'm crying. Oh, don't cry. Why are you crying? Are you okay? No, I'm not okay. Why are you crying? I'm in pain. Why pain? I'm thinking of rotten chocolate. No, it will not happen. If you think of rotten chocolate, it will not make you cry. You think of the most delicious chocolate, imagine, most delicious chocolate, it will not make you, water your mouth. It will not affect you. You're getting it? It will not affect you in that sense. It will not stir your emotions. Whereas when you see a real chocolate there, right, real chocolate there, then it can stir your emotions. If you see a rotten chocolate there, it can stir your emotions. Somebody says, oh, here's a birthday present from my side. You open it, it's a rotten chocolate. You become very angry. You're getting it? Okay, so that way, the point is that when you see things as objectively real, it can stir your emotions of anger, attachment, and so forth. When you see things as subjectively real, it will calm down your emotional fluctuations. It will make you stable, steady, and calm. Right? Okay. Now with this, the point is that empty from the object side, empty from the object. Okay, space like emptiness, meaning in a meditation, just the space is empty. Likewise, this experience that this flower, which seems so attracted, it is empty from the object side, empty. Empty has a connotation of space-like. So in this meditation, you meditate on the flower dissolving into emptiness. This is known as the space-like emptiness. So this will help us to remove our negative emotions. Then you come out of the meditation. Again somebody brings you, oh, congratulations, many congratulations to you for your 1 month retreat. Then they bring flowers to you. Again you see the flower. Now in the meditation, you have been in the 1 month retreat, you have been meditated on empty space like the emptiness of the flower. Space like emptiness. So this, if it is very effective, then when you come out of meditation, you will see the flower you see is like an illusion. Like illusion. So there you are aware that this, although it appears as objectively real, but it is illusion-like. So you see the flower as illusion-like. Their experience of seeing the flower as illusion-like, that is known as the illusion-like emptiness. Space-like emptiness is doing the meditative poise, and the illusion-like emptiness is when the post-meditative meditation experience. Okay. Yes, your question?
Geshe, you said that your inquiry started when you were like looking for the answer, how the brain is different from the mind.
Yes.
So even like I also face this problem. Like, so what are the different cultures and different definitions? I know these are terminologies only, but sometimes these terminologies create problems. So yes, mind is different from the brain, but is there a concept of like soul in Buddhism, or it's not?
Okay. So the point is, let us not say whether there's a concept of soul in Buddhism. Let's say whether or not soul exists, rather than in Buddhism, in Hinduism, in Christianity like this. Because our point is, I'm a Buddhist. So from Buddhist point of view, this is not a connotation. Say, I am somebody who seeks happiness. Start from there. Don't begin by saying I'm a Buddhist, I'm a Christian, I'm a Hindu, I'm a Muslim. Don't start from there. Start from, I'm someone who wants happiness, I don't want suffering. And who shares this sentiment with me? Everyone. So then we see the commonality. From there we begin, right? Then the question is whether or not the soul exists, right? And that discussion must be done very sensitively. So as said here, if somebody has a very strong feeling of the concept of soul, then better not discuss too much on this issue, because it can shake the faith of the person. Once the faith is shaken, it's very dangerous. So we should be very sensitive. But strictly from Buddhist point of view, the soul, the concept of soul, which is described as, even the concept of soul, what exactly is soul? This is what, we have to unfold it. So the soul, if the soul is to be understood as a person, the self, it does exist. The soul in the form of permanent, unitary, independent self, as the philosophers added. Philosophers, they solidify the soul by saying the soul is the permanent, unitary, independent. Then soul does not exist. Such a soul does not exist. But a soul in the form of a person, soul in the form of a self does exist. If the soul is, you mean to the person, when you say soul, it does exist in Buddhism. So this is how you use the word soul. Yeah. Dejala?
Ishwar, can you speak a little bit about, in the teachings we hear a lot about the third level of dependence origination, how things exist through the power of the mind, but then also the mind also exists in dependence on those things. So when we have to look at this other aspect of how the mind also is depending on these phenomena, can you speak a little bit about that part, how to contemplate on that part, or what kind of reflections?
Okay, so this is a good question. It's a very serious question. One is how everything comes into being by the power of the mind. So that is more like how everything that you dreamt comes into being by the power of the dreaming mind. You agree with me? In a dream, say in a dream, you go to where? In India, is there any place which is very busy, hectic, and so much of chaos? Can you think of any place? Sadar Bazaar, right? Let's say that in a dream you go.
All the streets of
Okay, let's say we go to Sadar Bazaar, right? Sadar Bazaar, you go there in the dream. You go there, you will see all the different people, all the bullock cart, all the tuk-tuk, the three-wheelers, and the good cars, bad cars, and the people just taking the. And then all forms of shops are there, small shops, good shops, big shops, all things are there, right? And somebody says, you're dreaming. Dreaming means all these details are made by my mind. My mind cannot make these details, right? My mind cannot make these details. And then you say, no, it can't be dream. Okay. Which means that you have seen millions and trillions of things there in the dream. You wake up. What happens to all these details? They all dissolve away in your mind. Now tell me, see, all these objects that you've seen in your mind, they're created by what? Created by your dreaming mind. They all came into being by the power of the mind. You're getting it? Okay. So this is how all phenomena are the nature of the mind. All phenomena, they are the manifestation of the mind. This is how it is understood. One. Now, one thing which Tejala is bringing forth here, this is something unique of Prasangika. Now, it is the mind is seeing the object, and the object is seen by the mind. So there's an interplay between the object and the subject, the mind and the object. Just as the object exists by the power of the mind only exists by the power of the object. There's a mutuality of dependence. This is posited uniquely by the Prasangika. Right? So even the object, even the mind exists by the power of the object. So there's a mutuality of dependence. But the third level of dependent origination, is talking about the first level of dependent origination. 3 levels of dependent origination there. The first one, dependent origination of the results, dependence on the causes. One, how the results, they come into being by dependence on their causes, number 1. What is number 2? Dependent origination of The whole's dependence on the parts. How the whole comes into being by dependence on the parts. So the first two are relatively easy. Dependent origination of the whole's dependence on the parts. For example, this house as a whole comes into being by dependence on its parts, like the ceiling, the windows, the walls, the floor, and the doors, and so forth. Okay. And the third one is dependent origination of dependence on mere mental imputation. Dependent origination of dependence on mere mental imputation. How the mind imputes all phenomena, how things come into being by the power of your mind. So now what Tejala is saying is the subject-object mutuality of dependence. That the mind and the object and the subject, these two are mutual dependence. The fact that the mind exists by the power of the object exists by the power of the mind. For example, say the mother and the child. Child makes sense only because of the mother, and the mother makes sense because of the child. So there's mutuality of dependence. For example, say the benefactor and the beneficiary. Benefactor makes sense only if there's a beneficiary. If the beneficiary is not there, then nobody can be benefactor. And a beneficiary makes sense only if there's a benefactor. If there's no benefactor, then who's going to be the beneficiary? Who's going to receive where are going to get the gifts from? So, and these two are mutually dependent, right? So we see that the subject and object, the agent and the action and the object, they are all mutually dependent. Now this mutuality of dependence is because of the conceptual mind. Because the conceptual mind is there, then the mutuality of dependence is also possible, right? Even that mutuality of dependence, object-subject dependence, this is also by the power of the mind. So therefore we see that everything that comes to being, even the subtle dependency of the mutuality of the object and subject, is also because of the power of the mind. Because of the mind, that the mutuality is possible. Mutuality dependence is possible. Okay, more questions? Yes, Nizala?
In Buddhist psychology, we had learned that the mind can pick only one object at a time.
Yes.
So when I look at the flower, it appears to me as something nice. So my ignorance seeing the objective existence of the flower, it's one of the objects of my mind. And at the same time, I'm looking at the flower and I'm getting attached to it. So to me, it seems like there are two things happening.
Okay, you look at the flower, you see it as a flower, you see it's objectively existing flower, right? Nice flower. There are so many things. It's not just one object that you pick up. Okay, so your eye consciousness can pick up the flower or a beautiful flower. Your mental consciousness says that this is objectively existent. So these two minds are not one. These two are different minds. But you as a person, Nilzala, as a person, because these two minds are acting on behalf of you. Right? So that you as a person feels that I am having both the objects. But in actuality, within you, you see that there are several minds which operate to see the different things at different times, but the different minds.
So the ignorance is the mental consciousness.
Ignorance is always mental consciousness, is never sensory consciousness. Although, according to Vaibhashika, they do mention about the ignorance with the sensory consciousness also. But according to higher schools, no, ignorance is always with mental consciousness. More questions? Dejala?
Dishala, between the five wrong views and the non-view root afflictions, would it be correct to say that the way to distinguish a view affliction from a non-view affliction is that can the wisdom of whatever the ultimate reality or the truth if it removes that, if it can directly remove that affliction, then it's a view-based.
Okay, the question is let me paraphrase it, see if I've got it correctly. Correct me if I'm wrong. Let's say that on one hand, you say afflictions.
Yes.
Afflictions, for example, say, I exist objectively, this is also affliction. I am the most important person, this is also affliction. Right? I cherish myself, I'm more important than others, this is also affliction. Okay. So the afflictions, within afflictions, there are two things. So one in the form of attachment, aversion, and so forth. So this is known as the non-view. One is, which is very decisive. Yes, I am objectively existent. I am autonomous, substantial, the real. So this is a view. The view kind, and the non-view. View and the non-view too. Okay. So with the wisdom of emptiness being a view, so what it counteracts? Affliction, the view emptiness counteracts directly is the view-based ignorance. The afflictions, this is what you're asking?
Yes.
Okay, good question.
And is that correct understanding?
Okay, I would say this is a very good question. So the answer is that the wisdom of emptiness, it shatters the ignorance. Okay, let's say the wrong view. The wrong view, misperceiving things as object real. So that is shattered. Because that is shattered, then all the other afflictions, non-view, what you call as non-view based afflictions, like attachment, anger, so forth. So they are like the offshoots of the view, right? Offshoots. All these offshoots are affected simultaneously. But what is directly, in your language, what is directly affected is the view. That's true. Yeah.
So the follow-up question was, so does it mean that when you have a wrong view of the supremacy of the view, that is directly shattered by the wisdom of emptiness, that kind of wrong view, because that's a view affliction.
Okay, let's say the view afflictions, they are several kinds, 5 kinds. Likewise, the wisdom, what counteracts the wisdom is also 5 kinds. It's not necessarily, right? It's not only one, there are 5, right? So because there are 5, so they have the corresponding, the counterparts, right? Okay, any more questions? Any more questions? Okay. Any more questions? If not, then we will do the end derivation prayer. Okay, page 278. Page 278 of the book, The Blaze of Non-Dual Bodhicittas. Page 278. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All-powerful generously Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. Just as the brave Manjushri and Samanabhadra too realize the things as they are, also I dedicate all these merits in the best way that I may follow their perfect example. I dedicate all these fruits of virtue. Praise as the best by the victorious ones thus gone of the 3 times, so that I might perform the noble Bodhisattva's deeds. May the Supreme Bodhicitta that has not arisen arise and grow, and may that which has arisen not diminish. Chanju Sem Jorem Boji Ma Ye Pana Pye Yoroji Ge Ba Nyama Me Ba Yang Kone Kondo Pe Ba Lai Shu. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. Due to the merits of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain to the state of Guru Buddha and lead all beings without exception into that enlightened state. I dedicate the merit thus gathered towards the realization, the deeds and the prayers of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of 3 times, and to the upholding the Dharma of teaching and realization. May I in all lives, through the force of this merit, never separate from the 4 wheels of the Mahana vehicle, and accomplish all the stages of the path, renunciation, bodhicitta, perfect within the 2 stages. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I gently mutter full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. I go for refuge to the Triple Gem, I confess the negativities individually, I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings, I hold the precious Buddha in my heart. The power of union of emptiness and compassion is lucidly explained by the protected Buddha, the Dharma, and the beings of the student. Though the lotus hold the Tenzin Gyatso, we subjugate. May the operations of evil thoughts and deeds of the negative forces of humans or non-humans who herb or manage through perverted praise against the teachings of the Buddhas be totally vanquished through the power of the truth of the 3 jewels. In all my lives, never separated from perfect gurus, may enjoy the magnificent Dharma by completing the qualities of the stations of the path. May I quickly attain the state of Vajradhara. Throughout my future lifetimes, may I always be guided by Manjushri and be able to uphold the Dharma in general and the teachings of dependent origins in particular, even in the course of my life. Okay, have a good evening, all of you.